General, let's move on to the allegation that was made by witness A about the seeing you at a house party. You recall that with Vusi Ndlala?
Yes.
Now, you've addressed that in your witness statement, and you acknowledge that the meeting, you were there, you say it wasn't a party.
Yes.
You are aware of the allegation by witness A that he considered that to be another attempt to see whether he was susceptible to receiving a bribe. You are aware of that?
I'm aware, and it's very strange.
Can you, just before I continue, tell me why it's very strange?
It's very strange because he's called by his friend without my knowledge, and I was so surprised to see them there. And then now it is turned to be something which is linked to some sinister arrangements to them meet with somebody, I don't know who, but Vusi Ndlala, whom you call Vusi Ndlala, is not Vusi Ndlala, it's Vusi Makubela. And Ndlala is the owner of the hotel. He's his half brother. So I happened to go there, not on invitation, because it's a villa and spa, it's a sort of a boutique hotel. And then we used to go there and entertain ourselves. It's a private place. For us, it was private. As police officers, more especially as seniors, because we were sitting in a private lounge without mixing with other people. And we will inquire before going there if ever it is not fully booked or there's no any other guest. So, on that day, I think it was on the 25th, I attended a meeting here at Mainland Main. At I can't pronounce it proper. Shandi or whatever. It's a Chinese restaurant. I was with the DNC and General Sintumule and the Chinese people from the Chinese embassy. There was new police officers who came, attachis, because others left. And there was an outcry about kidnapping of the Chinese. So we had the meeting there and lunch. After that, I phoned Vusi Makubela, who happened to be known to me, and we are close. And then he said he's there. And then with other friends. That is when I went there. There, when I arrived, I ordered a drink, and then there is a speaker. I played this music. I like music with my phone. So we were about 6, if not mistaken. And then witness A and Lela and I think another gentleman with 2 ladies arrived. And before their arrival, there were 2 people who were introduced to me as police officers, a female and a male.
Yes, I recall that evidence,
Yeah.
General.
So I didn't know about the party, and I could not have known that there would be a party because I was not invited. I invited myself there that day.
You see, witness A seems to be of the view that if Vusi Ndlala is someone that has information, not necessarily your source, but if he has information about the Swart investigation, and there's an attempt to bribe the investigators, witness A being one of them. And from the conversation that was had at the 16 May meeting, it became apparent that witness B was not susceptible at all. She was very firm. You recall that you had said, witness B even said to you, General, why isn't anything being done about these police officers that you know are potentially involved in wrongdoing? And had indicated something about an inquiry. You recall that evidence?
Yes, that is why I indicated on my testimony that he even asked if I know about that there will be compromise there and there, why I am not. I indicated I can't just call people without evidence and then start accusing people. And it's not how you investigate and how you will arrest people. I indicated the TRA need to happen, inquiry opened, and proper investigation be done. And then I don't know how she come into the picture on the Vusi Ndala because Vusi Makubela because she was not there. But they talk as colleagues. As I have indicated on my statement and when I was testifying, I was surprised, why are they there? And I didn't want to make them feel otherwise and whatsoever. And I asked Vusi, jokingly, you didn't tell me you're opening a police station here because I knew our arrangement is when we are coming there, we will phone. And it will be us friends, not when there is too much people, because we were trying to keep our privacy. Then he said, no, this is my boys, and what he told me is they used to come and have lunch there. And with him, they know each other. So I didn't want to dwell more. I just asked them, are they okay and whatsoever, and let them relax. And later on, I left. So that one that he suspect Vusi, his friend to Vusi maybe he got reason for that, but I don't have any reason. Maybe Vusi himself will say why he suspect Vusi, and Vusi will say why he whatsoever. And
okay.
I don't know. I can't talk to that.
Okay, General, let's take it step by step. You and Witness A and Sergeant Ndlela know Vusi Ndlala, right?
Yeah, now I know. I didn't know by that day.
No, I'm saying it's clear now that that is the case. You all three know him. You know Vusi Ndlala, and Witness A and Sergeant Ndlela know him.
I will agree according to how Vusi told me.
Yes.
But I will talk about me and Vusi,
yes.
not about them, because I don't know the extent of the relationship.
I accept that you wouldn't know that. Now, prior to the 25th of May, 2024, was Vusi aware of your request or rule that this be a private place for you and senior officials to hang out?
Who was aware?
Was Vusi Ndlala, or Makubela as you call him, was he aware of your request or your instruction that this place that you utilize to have your gatherings, that it's only for senior police officers?
No, it's a business. We phone when we go there. We were given that allowance to say, if we want to come ourselves and book and sit as us, we can do so, but prior phoning. But that time I phoned him to say he's there. I was passing by seeing him. It was not that arrangement.
And what time do you say you called him that day?
I think we finished around 3, between 4 and 5. I might have arrived there around 5 or something like that. I'm not sure.
So you arrived around 5?
Yes.
Witness A and Sergeant Ndlela, according to Witness A, says that they arrived in the evening. Okay? So Vusi knows that you are there already at 5.
Yes.
Does he know that when you are there, you don't want junior police officers there?
At where I'm seated.
Yes.
Yes, where I'm seated, but this hotel is big, has got other venues and they are doing business. I can't stop business because I'm there. But he knew that our arrangement is when we are there, maybe booked there mustn't be other people whom we don't know. It's either will be his friends or my friends. So that was the arrangements.
So when he doesn't tell you that Sergeant Ndlela and Witness A is coming later?
He didn't tell me anything.
And when they come there, you interact with them.
They said he introduced them to me, I greeted them.
So if he knows that you don't want them there, when you are there, why does he introduce you to them?
The statement is incorrect.
Okay, please
That-
correct it for me.
You see, you're saying if he knows I don't want them there. The question maybe must be if he knows that I don't want people whom I don't know to associate with, why did he invite them there?
Okay, so what's the difference? Yeah, because you
The difference
remember,
is
no,
more
remember,
specific.
General, later on, when on the 31st, or the 30th, when Sergeant Ndlela goes alone to the White House, where you are with General Ntombeni and with Brigadier Nkwashu, you see, your version is, you see him through the window by the parking, and you go say to Vusi, tell him I don't want him, I don't want these people here, I don't want them here. And he goes and speaks to them and they leave, and Ndlela leaves. Do you recall that evidence?
Yes.
Okay, so there is clearly a protocol. Vusi knows what your rule is.
Yes.
But here, for the first time, and please understand the context within which witness A gives this evidence. He says, I get invited to this party. It's the first time I see the general there. It is after we have the meeting of the 16th of May, 2024. Correct? That is after the meeting.
Yes.
Okay. He says, in his mind, it appears to him that this is another attempt to see whether he will be susceptible to receiving a bribe. That is that's how he perceives it. Of course, at the meeting or at the party, you don't discuss that with him. You don't. I accept that. But that is how he perceives it. Now, I am saying to you in that context, bearing in mind what you say, that this is your friend, he knows how you want to associate with people or not. Why would he come and introduce these two individuals who you just had a meeting with the week before? He knows that they are your juniors. Why would he introduce them to you in your setting where you want to be relaxed and not be interrupted by their presence?
You see, I will start by answering this one. That is silly for that witness to think what he thought. Because he visited a place invited by somebody. The reason that he never saw me there does not mean I cannot be there. That is a private place and that is a hotel. And again, Vusi introduced me to two other police officers because I said I'm passing by him, and it was not those type of arrangements where I'm saying we are coming to sit. I decided to sit even though he introduced two officers whom I didn't know. And then this one come, and then he introduced, and I know them because I met with them. And other than that, I knew them by sight because they used to come to me to sign. And I knew I was going to leave. So I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable because of me. And then I let it go. I sat there. It was only me, the senior member, according to me, because the others were Vusi's friend. And then I left. Then coming to the 31st, it was not the 30th. The 30th, I was in Zambia. I arrived late. I went straight home. That is why I remember. On the 30th, on a Friday, I knocked off duty, and then I phoned General Mtombe, because we usually come together if we have time. And I think the only time General Mtombe have time is Friday and Sunday.
Yes, you did give that evidence.
Yeah, on Sunday, Saturdays is Chanel and so forth. So he said no, he just finished doing something he's staying where he's staying. And then I said no, I want us to unwind. We can meet.
Well, General, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. You've given this evidence, so we know what the version is, how it came about. My question was more specific as to what happened on the 25th of May. That is what my question
I
was
think
about.
Mr. Makubela can answer that better because I already indicated I didn't know of the invitation or anything.
Now, you say that it is silly for witness A to have that impression of the invitation and the actual meeting at the White House. But it is not silly if he thought that Vusi Ndlala or Makubela was your source. Because then it would explain why on the 16th there's a suggestion that there's envelopes available or there's money available. You know witness B is not susceptible to a bribe because she is the one that had actually said to you, why is there not an investigation? Witness A and Sergeant Ndlela are still confused about, and I'm not speaking for Sergeant Ndlela, so let me just speak for witness A. He's confused about what the meeting meant. He's confused about your motives. He's not sure what the reason for suggesting the bribe is. He doesn't know. He gets the invitation. He goes there. Lo and behold, he finds you there. If he thinks that Vusi Ndlala is your source, it makes perfect sense that you are there.
So where did he say he thought Vusi is my source? Because on the transcript I didn't see that, and on his statement I didn't see that. And when did he see me with Vusi? Because that was the first time. So that is why I said it's silly for me, because he doesn't know my relationship with Vusi. I don't know his relationship with Vusi.
General, I'm talking about, he's thinking about this after the fact. When after the fact? He thinks about, why am I seeing General Shibiri here? I've never hung out with him. Why am I seeing him here? And why am I seeing Vusi Ndlala with General Shibiri? That is the context within which, and then you must remember, in August, when Tau gets bail, he says that he was informed by Ndlala that you told Ndlala that Tau got bail immediately, almost as soon as the bail order was granted.
Yeah, he should have said so, because that one makes as if he maybe smoked something. That if you don't, you saw me first time with a person, you are worried, why do I know that person? I'm not worried you know the person, because we live in this and that place. When I asked him, they frequent there during the day. And then the issue of Vusi Ndlala, of me telling Vusi Makubela about the bail, it's not true. It's not true. I never told Vusi, and we never discussed that thing of them. It's not true. So that is why I'm saying, so I cannot go about the imagination of somebody unless he can give me something to show that I told Vusi that. But Vusi will come, maybe you must call Vusi, to come and say, I told him about that, and why did I tell him about that? And how did I know he's going to get a bail, or when was he going for bail?
Yes, General. Now, that is, so I'm just putting to you that it is not silly for you to say that, because you didn't tell anybody who the source is. Nobody knows the identity of the source. Isn't that the case?
So it doesn't give anybody to speculate and then formulate their own opinion based on that. It doesn't give anybody. If you ask me the name, I said I wrote the name, I wrote the cell phone, I'll give it to you. And then you can go and confirm on your own way, but even though it's not allowed. But my source is not Vusi Ndlala. I indicated he was working with the police, and when I met him, and he was source somewhere at Crime Intelligence, some other time back, and I don't want to be involved in that, and I don't want to testify about that, because it's totally not okay to divulge such information. It's not allowed.
I'm not asking you to divulge that, General.
Yeah, he was not my source, as I indicated in my statement. And him, if he got proof that he's my source, maybe it's registered somewhere on a polyphene under me, because we can get that on the polyphene under who was he registered and whatsoever, then it can be proven. But I'm still maintaining that is silly. That is silly mind of them, of whoever thought like that you just see it and start coming with your theories against people and tarnishing their name like that. It's not correct.
Okay.
General, Can I maybe put it this way, that it may well have been a coincidence that it's witness A.
Witness A.
Yes. It may well have been a coincidence that you happened to be there, and it, you know, and your presence there is all innocent. But I think what you're being asked to comment on without passing judgment about it is that you have witness A who says you called them, they were told by their commander, their immediate superior, that you want to see them. You have said that before this you had nothing to do with this matter. They get called by their commander, you want to see them, and then they come and see you. You have this conversation with them, you tell them that there's a bag of money that is going around. You tell them to be careful, and then B asks, but why are you not doing anything about these people now that you know that they've done all of this? They leave your office, rightly or wrongly. They leave your office with suspicion. You've already told them that someone is trying to thwart or to undermine the investigation. You've already said that. If they didn't know that before, now you've planted that seed. And I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm just saying the nature of your conversation with them. You've planted the seed in their heads that there are big people involved here. Police, it's a sensitive matter. It involves other police in wrongdoing. They leave the office and they're suspicious. They become suspicious about what this meeting was about. And then A says, I then get a call to attend a party at Vusi's. I get there, I find General Shibiri. Remember, at that time, he's suspicious of that meeting that you had the previous day because he doesn't have a proper explanation for it, at least in his head. And then he finds you there. He, according to you, wrongly, and you say silly. But from his perspective, your presence there, him being invited by Vusi to be there and only to find you, and to find you there on the back of the meeting that he's uncomfortable about that happened, he forms a view about you that the invitation was clearly, General Shibiri is here, he tried yesterday, he sent a message to us yesterday, he's here today. This gathering that I've been invited to looks like it's to soften me or to introduce me into that circle, to get me to do wrong eventually. What is being put to you as his evidence is in that context. I think you can say that he was wrong, there was no basis for it, without it necessarily elevating to conspiratorial answers and considerations. I mean, he may have been completely wrong, but he does say these are the facts that he took into account. When I put it that way, do you want to comment further? You don't have to if you feel you have answered this fully.
Yeah, it's tiring, and there's no fact.
Yeah.
If there was a fact, there should be something which was said in line of that investigation or something said to them by me or Vusi or whatever. So nothing is said. They are sitting, enjoying themselves, invited by their own friend. I'm there on my business which they don't even know. And then I call them on an official duty whereby I inform them what I informed. Really? Yeah, it is wearing on me, and I even think, why did I pass this information? I was trying to save life and assist the people. Now I found myself then answering some theories which I don't understand. And it will never be factual to me, because if ever there was something really when they were there, which happened in relation to the case, or I discussed the case with Vusi and whatsoever, or try to ask them, did you think about what I told you? what is the situation and whatsoever. I greet them. I say, feel it well. The only thing which may be awkward, I said, I asked my friend, you told me, you didn't tell me you are opening a police station here. Indirectly telling him, you forgot our arrangements. Now here I'm hearing is the 4th police officers arriving here.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
so
General, let me-
for his thinking,
Yeah.
I don't know which motivates the thinking to think that way, and I don't see any logic in that thinking. That is why I'm saying, with due respect, it is silly. It feels silly for me to think like that without any reason. But as he expanded to say, Vusi on one time told him that I told him that Tau is going to got a bail. I don't know Tau. I didn't know Tau. And I didn't have interest in Tau bail or getting bail or whatever. What I had interest was the investigators being safe and the case going forward. And the last time I spoken to them I spoken to B that he's out on bail, but they are monitoring him. They are going to sort a warrant because it seems the CCTV shows he's going up and down. And on their statements, that one is not even there.
Thank you, General. Let me stop you.
Thank you. General, now I want to deal with the other issue between you and witness A, and that is the call of the 16th of December, 2024. You recall that we had that discussion when you were giving your evidence in chief.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is the one which I was not comfortable with.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, it's fine.
General, I want to ask you whether you want to revisit your version wherein you denied witness A's version of the call.
Yeah, I think commissioners, I even indicated to the commission my reasons why I say I don't recall. And even indicating, am I allowed to recall these names in this platform? Because that will be endangering my livelihood. And that is what I said even that day. So even now, with the council, we did discuss to say, I don't have problem going back to revisiting my statements and also indicating, it's not all the statement, it's certain part of the statement. I'm prepared to do that, Commissioner, provided I'm protected also.
General, maybe the issue is this. When witness A's version, it's A. When witness A's version of the phone call was put to you, you denied it and put a different version as regards what happened. And you were then asked if a recording was produced showing that what witness A says in their statement is in fact correct, and you still say it would not be correct. And it is in that context, I understand, subject to the evidence leaders correcting me, that they then say, since you are sticking to your version, we will have to produce this recording and have it played. Now, if you want to say, I'm revisiting my denial and I now accept that their version as it appears in the statement and the transcript is correct, then I'm sure it can be dealt with that way. But if you insist that your version is correct, then what I understand is that they're going to have to play the tape or the transcript. And so without mentioning names, I hope you understand the context and you can then explain to us what your position is. I'm hoping you've taken advice from your legal representatives.
Yes.
And you are able to then tell us what the position is.
Yes, we did. The problem is I don't agree with everything. Others are incorrect. Others are correct. Others are incorrect. Example, I indicated to her to say some of the discussion which they indicated was telephonically, it was not telephonically, it was in camera. It was in camera, and exactly even on the transcript, it confirms that what I said. So not totally everything which I indicated is incorrect. What I indicated, some are very correct, some are related to what they are saying. So if I say I agree to everything, then it will be like all what was indicated to be said there, I agree with it, and some are not the correct version. They mix up issues.
General,
Just a minute.
of the call that witness A says is a call between himself and General Shibiri on the 16th of December 2024. And but before we do that, Chair, it's just to give context to why the call is being played, the recording is being played, and then also to place a supplementary statement by witness A on record, because of course he's the one that provided us with the statement. If I can ask the commissioners to go to file 4, and it is CJC 101, page 93. General, if you could also go there and just switch on your microphones, please. It's file 4, CJC 101, page 93. Do you have it, General?
Yes.
Chair, if I could just read it, but before I read it into the record, is just to say that witness A had contacted us after he heard the evidence of General Shibiri denying the conversation, or witness A's version of the conversation that took place on the 16th of December 2024. And he requested that he submit a supplementary statement, and also that he would want to provide the recording of the call. And he has given in this statement an explanation for why he wants to do that and why now, if I could read that into the record. It says, I am a warrant officer currently serving in the South African Police Services and attached to the Gauteng Provincial Organized Crime Unit. On 19 October 2025, I submitted a witness statement to the Commission wherein I am identified as witness A, and on 20 and 21 October 2025, I gave evidence before the Commission regarding my involvement in the Swart murder and events that transpired during 2024 and 2025. One of the events that I dealt with was a telephone call that I had with Major General Richard Shibiri on 16 December 2024, as set out in paragraphs 93 to 97 of my first witness statement. As stated in my statement, when I received the call from General Shibiri, I was with witness B, and she overheard the conversation. What I did not mention in my statement or during my testimony before the Commission in October 2025 was that at some point during the telephone conversation with General Shibiri, witness B recorded the conversation using her cell phone. I had no intention of disclosing this recording publicly. The next heading, the recording. At the time of the call with General Shibiri, witness B and I were already in the safe house. We did not know who we could trust, and at this stage I was already unsure of General Shibiri's motives. The Commission will recall that I testified that I was still willing to give General Shibiri the benefit of the doubt. However, the arrest of Mr. Katiso Molefe on 6 December 2024 made us more suspicious of those who would inquire about the Swart murder case, and in particular, Mr. Molefe's arrest. When General Shibiri called, witness B and I had no intention of recording the call. The call started out casually, but at some point General Shibiri mentioned that he had been invited to General Sibiya's plot for a birthday celebration. At that moment, we decided to record the call. Witness B recorded the call on her cell phone. When the call with General Shibiri started, the phone was not on speaker. I had tried to increase the volume when Witness B started recording, not realizing that the phone is not on speaker. Therefore, at the beginning of the recording, General Shibiri's voice is not as clear because the call is not on speaker. However, during the call, I realized that the phone was not on speaker and immediately put it on speaker, hence the difference in the audio. Disclosure of the recording. As stated earlier, I had no intention of making the recording public. When I consulted with the Commission's evidence leaders in September and October 2025, I informed them of the recording but made it very clear that I did not want to disclose the recording in public, but that if it had to be brought to the attention of the Commissioners, it would have to be done in camera. My reluctance had nothing to do with disclosing the contents of the recording. This is evident from my first statement where I deal with the contents of the call in some detail. It was more so my reluctance to disclose that we had recorded the call, but that the Commission must understand the situation that we found ourselves in, especially so soon after Mr. Molefe's arrest. Be that as it may, I did not think that General Shibiri would deny the contents of the call. I listened to General Shibiri's evidence on the 4th of March 2026, when he admitted that the call took place but denied my version of the call. Now that he has denied my version and effectively placed my credibility in doubt and that of Witness B, I have no option but to disclose the recording publicly. I do so reluctantly, but I understand that it is important for the Commission's work. It is also important for my credibility and the evidence that I have already given to the Commission. It is for this reason that yesterday, 4 March 2026, after listening to General Shibiri's evidence, that I gave the Commission's evidence leaders permission to disclose the recording to General Shibiri and the Commissioners and to play it during the public hearing. I understand that the recording had previously been transcribed in Zulu and translated and transcribed in English at the instance of the Commission's evidence leaders in the event that I had to give evidence regarding the call. However, as indicated, my intention was always that it would be in camera, if at all. Conclusion. It is unfortunate that it has come to this point. My reluctance to disclose the recording publicly must not be seen as me being forced to disclose the recording. I do so willingly, although I would have preferred for General Shibiri not to dispute the contents of the call and avoid the need for disclosure. I trust that the contents of the supplementary witness statement and the recording of the call will be of assistance to the Commission. Signed on this, the 5th day of March, 2026. Thank you, Chair. With that being said, Chair, we will now play the recording, and if I could just advise Chair as well that we have provided the transcription, but we can deal with that once we've heard the recording.
Thank you, Ms. Sigels-Ncube. Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. Now I confirm the agreement that the audio can be played. Of course, there is only one name that will be redacted from it. Other than that, everything can be played.
Only one name will not be
Only
mentioned.
one name, Commissioner. Maybe just to put it in context, obviously my learned colleague will conduct...
Please pull the mic a bit closer.
Commissioner, I'm saying maybe, obviously, my learned colleague will conduct this part of the proceedings in whatever manner that she needs. But maybe if she could just remind everyone, including the witnesses, to what it is that was allegedly disputed, so that we can contextualize everything and everyone understands exactly where we are. Because we take a somewhat different view about the impact and the contents of this particular statement.
Perhaps I think that's best left for after the clip has been played. I think, yeah.
Indeed. Sure.
Yes. But I just want to make this observation, though. I know the general is human, like all of us, and as such, he should be concerned with his personal safety. But this is the second general who is scared to mention the name or names of certain people. I find this, and I'm sure my co-commissioners share this, I find this quite concerning. The general is the head of organized crime in the country, and the other general is the head of IPID. I'm sorry, the DPCI, the Hawks. That's actually what I have in my head of KZN. And the Hawks or the DPCI exist also to fight organized crime. So it's quite concerning that people who head organized crime should be so fearful of people who are alleged to be or are said to be within the organized crime. It's quite concerning. So who will freely fight organized crime if people at that level are so fearful just to mention the names of people who are alleged to be players in that environment? It's quite concerning. But I do say what I said, or what I prefaced my concern with, which is, yes, the general is only human, and yes, the general should be fearful for his own safety, I would imagine. But that does not detract from the concern that I have. Who then is going to fight organized crime, and how? Perhaps I hope we will find a way of dealing with this subject as part of the investigation that we are dealing with or engaged in. And I see the general is smiling. I do not know whether that's because he wishes to say something, but I have expressed my concerns. And general, I mean it when I say perhaps, because it appears that you are indeed fearful. And the other general was also quite fearful, we could tell. I repeat that perhaps it's a subject that needs to be looked into, that needs to be seriously investigated. Ms. Sigals-Ncube?
Thank you, Chair.
Oh, yeah, plus for the will recover fully. Yes. Kama general usebenza amadasi ngisakhumbula kahle. Yes.
But ukubona ngifaka amadlasi manje isivayisa veza ngizobona ngidrive ngingafakanga amadlasi.
Oh yeah.
Kufanele ngifake ama-ridiculous. Hayi yinye indaba, but at least ngoba last thing bengiye eMpumalanga ngine-meeting. I was totally not okay because ngingaboni udark and ngihamba lapha kuSukuman's Drift lapha ngingaboni i-white lady ngithi hayi.
And angimele usidrivele ngaleso sikhathi.
Yeah, iyo lento iyenza ukuthi manje because ngoSeptember bangitshela ukuthi I must do this thing.
Yes.
But I was reluctant.
Mm.
And ngisaba.
Mm.
Then mawangitshela futhi bengaya kumunye professor bathi Professor
Yes.
Uya phethe nalezi St. John's yesebhara la.
Yeah, ngiyayibona.
Yeah, and nguya phethe ophthalmology yesivet. So ngaya kuye wangiyenza, but for now it's just smaller things laphana nalaphana kunephuma i-PS and then but
Chair, I've just paused it so that we can maybe try and follow on the transcript as well. You would have heard what witness A says, that the sound is not so great at the beginning of the audio. So that is CJC 98, Chair, and that is
Page 76.
page 76, and the English is the one just before that, CJC 97.
Thank you, Mr. Gilson.
they jumped now.
Chair, maybe we can just find your place before we start it. And I think it is just at the point where the general is speaking about the sunglasses. So that would be on 78. Sorry, General, if you could also just switch off your microphones, I believe it also has an impact.
Ubona manje ngikhiphele the last one i-patch ngifaka ama-sunglass manje, but ngiyasaba ukuphumela ngaphandle ngoba the sun is very scarp.
Yeah. No, but kune hope ngoba ubona